That seemed like to
All
be
right.
it. All right, thanks. Okay, so um, good evening, everybody. This is, as you know, Dr. Tom Miller. We are here tonight, and our talk tonight is going to be about how your body works, what causes the body to not work, and what we can do to to help you get your body back together now. Okay, so how your body works, what prevents it from working, and how we can actually help to turn this around. Okay, I'm going to see something here. Let me just check something out real quickly here. That's not going to work. Just trying to see how we could expand this. There we go. All right, so that's what I want right there. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit. Many times when patients come to me, and some come to me for all kinds of different reasons, but mainly people come because they're in pain. And that is what drives most people to our offices, and I think that's true for many, many chiropractors. Um, what I've learned over the years is that once a person understands how their bodies work, then once they get that and really get a good hold onto it, then they'll really have a greater appreciation of how chiropractic can really have a massive impact on their lives. Also, how it impacts the lives of their families. My whole family is under chiropractic care, and I think over the years I've done a lot of teaching, and I realized that as chiropractors we have to keep teaching over and over and over again, because reality is that a physician is a teacher, an educator. So what you're doing is really, what I find is that when I'm talking to my patients, if they're open to really hearing and learning, they'll really get a good understanding about what they, once I'm educated and we're talking, it's almost like there's a light bulb that comes on, because what I'm talking to them about, they already know. It's innate. It's an innate inside out job where people will really understand as time goes on the importance of understanding how the body works. Unfortunately, we live in a culture. We live in a culture where we're bombarded every day that if you have a health problem, that the solution to that health problem is to medicate, and medicate meaning that you're going to do something just to manage and control those symptoms, but there's nothing done to really help that person understand the significance of correcting the problem so that your body can live in a very vitalistic way. So tonight I want to share something with you. One of the things I really want to share with you tonight is there's a great book. I was, you guys know me out there. I'm always out trying to learn more and more about how the body works, how chiropractic be such an important, integral part of your life for your health. I think that every person out there should have a chiropractor as part of to me, their primary healthcare team. Should be chiropractor, your medical doctor, your dentist, or whatever after that. But one thing one of my colleagues, Dr. Steve Judson, wrote a book called Wake Up Humans. And I would recommend that you get this book and read it if you are really interested in learning how health works, how your body works, and what causes it to break down and prevents it from working well, and then how we as chiropractors can really help you. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be getting a bunch of these books, and I'm going to start handing these out to my all of my new patients as they come in, with the understanding that they have to read the book and then get it back to me. I've handed out over the years so many books, and people typically do what people do, and it is they get a book and they don't read. I'm a big reader. I love reading, and I think that I read something one time that it said that over a course of 5 years, the only difference in your life will be the books you read and the people that you meet. And it surprises me today how many people don't like reading. My young boys, when they were growing up, they made sure that whenever we went to the barber shop, whenever we were in the car, I always made sure that they had a book in their hands, because I wanted them to be readers. Like the thing goes, readers are leaders. And I like to read books that are, nonfiction. I like reading. I'm not really into the novels and things like that, but I like really good material that I can learn something from. This book here is just phenomenal. I love it. Okay, so it gets into really talking about what I really wanted to get into tonight, and as learning more about how your body works. So I don't know if you can see this chart here, but I'm going to kind of go here and share this with you tonight, because this would be something that I would really typically do in helping educate my patients when they come into my office. And this is a chart workshop that I would do to a lot of my new patients, helping people understand how the body works. So when we look at the human body, they are basically the thing that people are most interested in, without them realizing, is performance. They want to make sure that they perform better, right? Now, in order for you to perform better, we have to have good body chemistry. The glands have to be working right. Your central nervous system has to be working correctly, and also we have to make sure that those vital systems, like your brain, spinal cord, spinal nerves, are protected, and we want them to be protected throughout our entire life. Now, the thing that protects your brain is going to be your skull, okay? It's going to be your skull. And so as we move through here, I'm going to share with you the importance of understanding that even though many times patients will come into the office, they're going to be coming in because of backaches, headaches, all kinds of weird, all kinds of things, allergies, you name it, they'll come in. So my job then at that point is to really help them understand that your health problem is not the real concern. Your real concern is really about having great performance, and really having great performance on all levels of your body, right? So that means we have to make sure that our brain, that's sending messages down to the spinal cord, then to the nerves, and then out, those nerves going out to every organ, tissue, cell in the body, and then having the ability to communicate once it's reached that system that it needs to go to, and then be able to turn around and send that information back up to the brain. So I just want to take you through a little thing here, that in order for your body to function well and have the performance that it needs, then we have to understand the importance of chemistry and how it controls all the performance in the body. So whenever we have a loss of chemical balance, always will result in a loss of your performance ability. Okay, just important to understand that. So just think about, like, if you a person who's maybe diabetic, okay, if their body is not producing the right amounts of insulin, or if it's producing too much insulin, okay, and when over a period of time they could actually wind up having what we call insulin resistance, and can cause and create a whole lot of different problems. So we have to make sure that those chemical performance is in proper alignment. The next thing we want to look at is, we want to make sure that when chemical balance comes from the coordination. And so just think in terms of how intelligent your body is, in terms of how it is doing, God knows, a zillion things. Just as I'm talking here, my body's going through doing all kinds of things that is, making sure that my system is operating correctly, and I don't have to think about it. It's just happening, okay? So we got to understand that every cell in the body makes chemicals. And then so the question becomes, okay, what really is allowing all this to happen? And that's what we're going to talk about in terms of how your body works, okay? And then we'll get into talking about what makes the body, to break down and not perform the way it's supposed to perform, okay? So we got that. So we talk about performance is what we're all looking for. We also talk about how chemistry Your body makes the right amount of chemicals in the body, and they have to how they impact the glandular system. And then, so the big thing we want to look at is the central nervous system, because the central nervous system, in a sense, is the brain, the spinal cord, spinal nerves. It is the master control system of the human body. It coordinates, controls, conducts all activities of the human body. And it's important for you and I to understand that, especially anyone coming into a chiropractor's office. I think it's important that you understand the significance of how the central nervous system coordinates and harmonizes all of the chemical producing cells in the human body. So it's your central nervous system that you see here with the brain, spinal cord, and spinal nerves. That is what coordinates and makes all this happen. Okay, and remember, in order for this to break down, there's going to be some things that happen. So what protects this brain and central nervous system is going to be the skull, which protects the brain, and your 24 movable bones, and your sacrum, where the spinal cord is protected in case inside of that canal. And we have to make sure that if we want a vitalistic, healthy, vibrant body, we have to make sure that as we look at this spinal system, and I really want you to get this, if we look at this spine from the back, we really want to make sure that all of these bones in the spine are properly aligned. Because when they are properly aligned, your brain, which sits inside of your cranium, can send signals down the spinal cord to these nerves, and those nerves are going to exit and go out to every organ, cell, and tissue of the body. Now, that's important to understand that. We talk again about how the body works. Okay? Now, the big thing here is understanding what is it that causes the body or prevents the body from working well. What I've learned over the years and from my studies, and there could be a lot of things out there, but I think that for me the most important interference that can occur to the human body is what we call the vertebral subluxation. Sometimes you hear the term vertebral subluxation complex, or misalignment of one or more of the vertebrae in the spine. So we have to understand that when the vertebra goes out of its normal alignment, so one of the examples I would use here is this little model, is when these two vertebrae are properly lined up, the spinous processes, these little bones on the back of your spine, and you can see them on people when they have their shirt off. You can see these little bumps. When they go out of alignment, puts pressure on the nerve, cause that system to malfunction. That's what we call the subluxation. Okay? Now, obviously the subluxation doesn't have, not necessarily, this severe in terms of how it is projected on here, how it irritates a nerve. It only takes about the weight of a dime to cause the nerve system to start to malfunction by 60%. So you gotta get an idea of how sensitive the nerve system. Think about the entertainer who plays Superman, Reeves, fell off a horse, and obviously he fell in such a way that he fractured some bones in his neck that caused him to become paralyzed. Okay, that's a real macro trauma to the nerve system, causing him to lose the ability to breathe on his own, not able to move. Those are some serious things. So the things that we are dealing with, I call them basically micro traumas. And how do they occur? Well, I basically feel that there are 4 types of stressors to the human body now. One is going to be mental, emotional stress. That's your fears, your anxieties, and worries. Again, many of the issues that we all went through over the last 2.5, 3 years with this COVID crisis. Being locked down, can't go out, can't visit people, being in the same the house with your people that your family, but even that at some point can create cause a lot of stress for a lot of people. Okay, So we got mental, emotional stress. Then we have chemical stressors. The chemical stresses are going to be things that we encounter in our environment, smoking, drinking alcohol. All of these things can have an impact. The pollution in the environment, like out in Flint, Michigan, they had problems with the water systems, causing a lot of toxicity in the human system. Foods that we eat, I mean, most of the foods, why I shouldn't even call them foods, they are the processed things that we eat today are loaded with all kinds of chemicals, can cause chemical stressors to the human body. And the next one would be the physical trauma. Okay, so these would be things like, slips and falls, bumps, bruises, accidents, things like that can cause a stress to the system. And I think the last one is the stress that we get from these phones and frequencies that we get off of certain things in the environment can also have an impact. And we know that these things do have a lot of electrical chemicals coming out from them. So what I've learned over the years is that the body can handle stress. It can handle a lot of stress, but what really makes it very difficult for the body to function, and this is what we feel that causes the body not to, prevents it from working well, is when we get a overabundance of and prolonged stressors is what can cause the nervous system to send out signals causing muscles to contract. And when muscles contract around the spinal system is what causes the vertebra to be pulled out of alignment. And from that, we get the subluxation. And so when we see the subluxation occur, happen, we know that subluxations will put pressure on the nerve system, and in turn they will cause the nerve system to lose control, which in turn will cause the cells to make the wrong amount of the chemicals that they're supposed to make. Just think about people, as I said before, that that may be diabetic, have high blood pressure, low pressure, all kinds of things. And so, again, what happens many times with these people, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but they'll go to their physician and they'll give them medication. If the blood pressure is high, they'll do something to bring it down. If it's too low, to bring it up. So what happens in essence is this: we lose the chemical balance is lost. And when we have the loss of chemical balance, obviously your performance is going to become diminished. Okay, it's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but if you really understand this, you'll see that in your life and in the lives of many people that hopefully this will make sense to you. All right. Now, obviously, there are going to be things that we have to be, also pay attention to. We have to make sure we get proper rest, very important. We have to make sure that our mindset is right, having a positive mental outlook and attitude about life, okay? Making sure that we're eating the right foods, drinking the right amount of water, all right? Exercise, and making sure that your nerve system is properly cared for by a way of getting to a chiropractor, getting your spine back into alignment. So we talk about how the body works. We talk about how the body goes through the process of not being able to work correctly. Now, let's look at how we as chiropractic can be a benefit to you and your family, right? So if you have a situation where you have subluxations, and the only way that you're going to know that you have subluxations is get to a chiropractor, get evaluated, perhaps get some x-rays. I like to personally make sure that all my patients that I see get x-rayed, because I want to see what their spinal structure looks like, and be able to sit down with that patient and show them exactly where I see things might be the basic underlying cause of most, if not all, of their problems that they're having at this stage of life. So let's take a look. So we have performance diminished, and now we want to look at what we can do as chiropractors to correct this problem and allow you to have a more vibrant, more vitalistic life that you want to live. You understand? So now I advocate that chiropractic, and my belief is that chiropractic is good for everyone. My mother, who's 88 years old, my stepfather's 89, all my brothers and sisters that live here locally, they all come here to get adjusted on a regular, consistent basis. Okay? So just want you to see how that as we go through the process of adjusting the subluxated areas, And I think that one of the most important areas to get checked and adjusted is going to be your upper cervicals, because that's like where the master control system is. Those C1 and C2 of the spine are very, very critical in terms of opening the channels and making sure that life force comes through. Plus, you'll see if you decide to come in for evaluation and get checked, you'll see what I'm talking about. So through chiropractic, we do the adjustment, very specific adjustment. The bones over time, remember, it in some cases it takes some time to get a spine that has been out of alignment for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. We have to work on a consistent basis to get those bones correctly positioned. And then the beautiful thing is, and this is for everyone, doesn't matter who you are, you'll find today that probably most of your world-class athletes are all under chiropractic care. Why? Because it allows them to perform better, have improved performance. So we do the adjustment, the nerve system is restored, the central nerve system is restored now, because as you take the pressure off of the spinal nerve because of the subluxation that was there, over time, as we gradually get these vertebrae back into normal alignment, then the cells work in harmony again, the glandular system starts working well, the chemical balance is restored, and lo and behold, what happens is performance is improved. Now, I can tell you story after story about patients who come to me. I won't mention any names, but one in particular who came to me, 30 some odd years ago, had epilepsy, started getting adjusted, and her body responded in such a way that she did really well with that. And obviously, because it did well, later on brought her 2 children in who were young at the time, maybe 2, 3 years of age. They're obviously now grown men who continue to come in. One, her oldest, had moved away. Now he's back, and hopefully we'll see him back in here soon. Husband comes in. Just so many stories I can tell you. Just getting adjusted. And for many of those patients now who've been with me 30 some odd years, now they come in on a twice a month basis because they understand the value of it. I even have patients come to me, when they do come in, they'll say, I knew that it was time for me to come in. Because what I've learned over the years is, as you get adjusted, you become more in tune with your body. We were taught in school that the chiropractor adjusts the spine, and by doing that, it connects man, the physical, with God, the spiritual. And I firmly believe that the way God created our bodies, that everything that we need to function is within the body. The only thing that we need is no interference. And obviously, we live in a world today that we are surrounded by interference. We're surrounded by negative news every single day that has an impact on how we think and how we feel. The foods that we eat, I don't even want to call them foods. They're just things that we eat that are in packages that are loaded with all kinds of chemicals. There's so much violence going on in the world. And obviously, if you're tuning into that kind of stuff all the time, it's going to change your frequency. And if you get caught up into that, it can also have a negative impact on your health and well-being. Okay? So what chiropractic does, in my opinion, for me, is that it allows my body system to function at a higher level. Okay? I'll soon be 70, and on March the 8th, and I can tell you that I've been under chiropractic care since I was 19, and to me, it was the best experience that I've ever had over the course of the last 40, 50 years. And I would say that for anybody out there who is having any kind of health issue, and it doesn't mean that you have to leave your medical doctor or whatever. I've had patients who come to me who were under the care of an oncologist, and through getting adjusted, felt that they did much better. Okay? Now, we would never tell you or anyone else that chiropractic cures anything. I firmly believe that the body is a self-healing system, and by removing interference that we call subluxation, and doing this on a consistent basis, and doing this throughout your entire life, I think that your body's going to perform better and function better. And that's what we're here for, to help you perform better and function better and have a more vital life as you go into your senior years. I firmly believe that, people should get checked, or babies should be getting checked, and being under chiropractic care from the time they're born until, again, throughout the entire life. If you're an athlete, probably don't need to tell you this, but if you are an athlete who wants to perform well, you should be under chiropractic care. There's no question about it. Okay. If you're a housewife and you're taking care of your family, you need to be under chiropractic care. If you're doing any kind of workout in the world today, whether it be physical work, desk work, mental work, if you're sitting at a desk all day long, standing all day long, doing repetitive activities like lifting or whatever, you need to be in a chiropractor's office and getting checked and getting adjusted on a weekly basis. And this is something you should do all of your life for the rest of your life. Okay? So I want to end that on that note, so that if you are out there and you are really interested in learning more about what we do here at Miller Chiropractic Wellness Center at 22 South Main Street here in Pleasantville, New Jersey, give us a call at 609-383-9121. And we will, when you come in, if you talk to any of my patients, they will tell you that I spend a lot of time educating, because I think education is the key to helping you understand how your body works, what causes your body not to work well or prevents it from working well, and then really sit down with you and show you what we can do to help you live this really healthy, vitalistic lifestyle. Okay? So again, if you are interested in learning more about us, we have our website at drmillerchiro.com. We also on that website have a merch store where you can actually order some sweatshirts, t-shirts, all kinds of stuff, coffee mugs, whatever. You can go to that website and find that and order it. Okay? So I want to thank you for being here tonight. Share this with all of your contacts. And if you're out there, and if you're a patient out there who haven't been in for a while, get back in and get back on track. Okay? So have a great evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. Okay? Remember, the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, second and fourth Tuesday of every month, from 6 to 6:30. All right? Have a great evening. God bless you.